Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jay Berkowitz. I'm from 10 Golden Rules, and we're an internet marketing firm that specializes in helping law firms get more leads, get more clients. And today we're going to talk about planning for 2021, how to write a great business plan. And this will be just as applicable for 2021, 2022 too. So if you're watching this sometime in the future, this will help you write your great internet marketing plan. And if you're not a law firm, frankly, it's the same planning process I use for our agency. So please follow along, and this should be a great help. But we're going to use examples of law firms for this. So you can download your workbook and spreadsheet at this link, and we'll have a link available with the recording as well. And with that, let's get into the content. So one of our great founders, Benjamin Franklin, said, "Failure to plan is planning to fail." And Napoleon Hill, who wrote one of my favorite all-time books called Think and Grow Rich, said, "Plan your work and work your plan." A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. Sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. And Brian Tracy, who's written some of the best business books and planning books of all time, said, "A goal without a plan is only a dream." If you dream of achieving great things, and I'm sure you all do if you're here today and giving me some of your time to plan 2021, you dream of achieving great things, making them a reality on paper is vital to your success. So I wanted to start with a couple of the great planning experiences of my career. My last job before I started 10 Golden Rules was 18 years ago at a company called ediets.com. And eDiets was founded by a really amazing guy who had over 100 patents to his name. He'd invented over 100 different things. And at eDiets, he was constantly inventing things. He was inventing different ways to, promotions for our customers and different kinds of marketing tactics and different kind of business development ideas. And every day you'd come in and you'd find a new idea on your desk. And the challenge was everybody in the company would find 2 or 3 ideas that Dave had come up with, and new projects and old projects that he'd repurposed, but he forgot who he gave them to, so he'd give them to somebody else. And he had this tremendous ability to innovate. But everybody in the company was working on a different priority project that came right from the CEO. So I pulled together my fellow directors and department heads, and I said, let's make a list of all the projects. And we literally came up with 107 different projects. And then we created a top 10. And we said, look, if we focus on these top 10 projects and get them done, the company will be better off and Dave will probably be real happy. Then we brought Dave into the exercise and we got him to verify, yes, we were focused on the right top 10 projects. And within 6 weeks, after floundering for like over a year, we launched the Atkins diet. And then we launched an e-fitness product, which was diets for men. And then we launched the Zone diet. And now as a company, we were focused and we were working together on the main priorities, and we were able to get them done and move them forward and move the company forward. One of the top achievements we had for our company for 10 Golden Rules was when we incorporated this planning and brainstorming exercise. And I'm going to share with you that exercise today. And what we do is we get together and we brainstorm and we talk about our strengths, weaknesses, and trends, and then we set our top projects. And we use this guidance from Vern Harnish, who wrote a great book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And the best thing that I took out of that book was the top 5 focus. As a company and as an individual within an organization, you should have a focus on your top 5 projects for every quarter. And as a company, if you focus on the top 1 of 5, there's a very good chance you'll get it done, like we got it done at eDiets. So when we got together and we brainstormed, the team actually said, we really need to update our website and we need a new logo and we need a fresh look, because this was after 10 or 13 years of our company, and everybody said we need a new look. And then we assigned people to do things like conversion design and video and client onboarding. And of course, we focused as a company. We said, no matter what, this quarter, we're going to get the new website done. Now, it took about 4 months, but we got the new logo, we got the new website, and it gave us a fresh look, and it gave us a little momentum as a team, because we knew now if we focused on our top 5 and our top 1 of 5, we would get it done. So we started using the same methodology with our clients, and we did the brainstorming, we did a whiteboarding session, and we developed a top 5 priorities and a top 1 of 5. And so we go through the exercise, and I'll take you through it today. We review our priorities, we look at the numbers, we look at the strengths, weaknesses, and trends, and then we do a brainstorming on projects, and then we come up with the top 5 and the top 1 of 5. And this is the attorney that we did this project with first. His web traffic went from 238 visitors to over 12,000, and his leads went from 12 a month to over 500 leads a month. And this is because he set priorities internally, we set priorities together that we were going to focus on, and we worked strategically as a team to accomplish our goals. So again, I just want to make sure everybody has the worksheet, because we're going to do a few sort of joint working exercises. I printed out my copy here. If you don't have it, just add your email in the chat and Olivia will email it to you. So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Now, setting a plan used to be a relatively easy exercise, and we worked as companies towards achieving our goals. 2020 looked a little different. And for most of us, the year kind of looked a little bit like this. But hopefully in 2021, we'll get back to something closer to what we knew for the last many years. So our objective today is to set our goals for 2021. How many leads do you need to hit your target revenue objective? We're going to define our key numbers and do a quick competitive analysis. I'm going to show you how to look at how you rank versus your competitors. We're going to talk about how to maximize your lead flow. We're going to develop our core strategies for 2021, and I'm going to share with you some of the top trends, some of the top tactics that we're building into the plans for our clients. And then we're going to develop our quarterly priorities and our marketing calendar. So you'll be ready to go. You'll know your budget, the number of leads you need to hit your target. You'll have your tactics lined out. We'll prioritize them, and we'll set a plan for 2021. Does anyone have any questions at this time? I'll just have a peek in the chat. Make sure everybody has their has access to the downloads. Take me 1 sec here to take a look at the chat. All right, looks like everybody's good. So let me go back to presentation. Okay, so very quickly, who am I and why am I qualified to teach you about marketing and marketing for law firms? My name is Jay Berkowitz. My company's called 10 Golden Rules, and I've written 4 books. 2 of them were Amazon bestsellers. And my new book is called Internet Marketing for Law Firms. And in fact, this presentation will become 1 chapter in the book, and we'll talk about planning. And I think we have 1 chapter left to go, and it will actually be next month's webinar on websites. So we develop a ton of content and we refine it into a chapter for the book. So look for the book to come out in 2021. I come from a small city in Winnipeg, Canada. It probably looks a lot like this today. Really nice little town, but really, really cold. So I moved to Boca Raton, Florida. There's my wife, Bonnie, and my dog, Parker, and we really enjoy it down here. I started my career working for some big brands. I was lucky enough to work on brand Coca-Cola, one of the longest marketed brands of all time. And I was trying to come up with new projects and promotions for Coca-Cola. And I went to work at Sprint in the early days of the internet. And my job was to get our customers their first emails and get businesses their first websites and digital access through our Sprint network. I also worked at McDonald's restaurants and sold some of the most delicious high-fat foods of all time. And as I mentioned, I then went to work at ediets.com. And at eDiets, we were one of the top 5 biggest spenders on internet marketing in the entire world. We used to spend $40 million in 2002 to bring people to our website. And every day was this great testing lab where we would try A/B testing. We'd show half the people one offer and half the people another offer. And so we got really, really good at internet marketing back in 2002. Google was still in beta. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, was still in high school, and we were spending $40 million on internet marketing. So I wrote the 10 golden rules of online marketing as a presentation at the Direct Marketing Association. And 5 or 6 people came up to me and they said they'd like to hire me as a consultant. And so that was where we started 10 Golden Rules back in 2003. And today we're a full service digital agency, and we help focus on working with law firms to help with your internet marketing needs. This is the last time we were all together, or most of us were together, last year at the holidays. Unfortunately, we won't all be together like that this year. And as I mentioned, we work with law firms all across the country on internet marketing, pay-per-click SEO. And I've used to, in the good old days, speak at conferences and do keynotes, some of the top legal events as well. And I'm now teaching CLEs, continuing legal education credits on technology. I also am the sole judge and jury of the Milly Awards, one of the most prestigious awards for legal marketing and technology. And one of the things I'm most proud of is when we achieve a hockey stick. As a Canadian, I love when your business chart looks like this. And this is one of our clients. When we started with them, they were getting 2,000 or 3,000 website visitors each month. Now they get 8,000 or 9,000 website visitors. They were getting 20 or 30 leads a month. And now we regularly get in the 200s and 300 leads every month. So I'd love to do a hockey stick with you all. So let's talk about some of your issues and opportunities in 2021. If you don't mind entering in the chat box, what are some of the things that are top of mind for you? What are some of the things that are, on your business plan, on your plate for the coming year? Just going to navigate back to the chat box here. More digital marketing. Anyone else have any other goals or particular challenges in the coming year or for your planning? Focus on getting more clients. That's a good one. Feel free to jump into the chat box and participate. How will local service ads affect our intakes? That's a really good question. The new Google Screened is definitely changing the landscape, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Overcoming tougher competition. Thank you. Getting more specific in marketing efforts. Okay, really good. All right, so we probably have the right stuff today to answer most of these questions. All right, so let's get back to sharing and presenting. Okay, so the first area of setting your plan is setting your targets. The importance of writing down your goals, like if you do nothing else, write down your goals and stick them on your wall, because many of you have probably heard of this study. They talked to the Harvard graduate class in 1979, and only 84% had no specific goals. 13% had goals, but they weren't written down. 3% had clear written goals and a plan to accomplish them. You won't be surprised at the results. The 13% who had goals earned twice as much as the 84% with no goals. The 3% with specific plans earned 10 times as much as the other 97% combined. So our goal today is to get in the 3%. Let's get our plan written down and documented, and let's get it done in 2021. So one of the things that's very helpful is we do a ton of tracking. Like I'm a numbers addict. And so if you don't have this kind of information in your business, you want to start putting it in place. So we can tell each month how many calls our clients get, how many chats they get, how many web forms are completed, the percent that are converted to clients. So in this case, these guys got 291 leads in a month and 51 retained clients, 18%. So you also want to pay close attention to the conversion percentages. So in order to do this, you need to set up call tracking. You should have chat on your website. If you don't have chat, I highly recommend testing it. That's a little chat box that pops up. A huge amount of consumers like to chat now. So you're missing out on 20 to 30% of the leads if you don't have the chat box. And then if you can tie this information, this data, into your case management software or your CRM and get your team to disposition the leads, that's the final piece of this. And now we know what's working and where we can put more focus. So obviously it's a huge asset if we have more information that we can go back to the marketing plan and apply this data. So what we're going to do is a little interactive exercise here. And all of you can type in, and hopefully everybody has the workbook. If you don't have the workbook, I'm going to pull up a blank version of this. And there's also a blank version of this on your handout. So you can just fill it in and do the math. It's really simple math. So you're going to see something that looks like this. Let me see if you can see it. And this is your lead generation target planner. So what I'm going to do is just hop over here to the Excel spreadsheet. So all of you should have access to this Excel spreadsheet. And the algorithms are automatically built in here. So if a couple of you don't mind, let's talk about what are your goals for 2021 in terms of annual revenue goals and targets. So we did this exercise with one of our client firms, and just making sure everything's good. And so their revenue target in 2021 was 3.5 million. So let's stick with that one. And so what you have to do here is if you fill it in and you type in a number here, it'll change the number here. So let's say that was their 2020 goal and they wanted to get to 4.5 million revenue. We type that in and it changes the monthly revenue target. So you'd need 3,625,000. Oh, sorry, it's supposed to just be 4 million. You'd need 375,000 a month to achieve 4 million in revenue. Now the next number we're going to fill in is the average case value. So if your average case was 15,000, then you'd fill that number in, and it tells you that in order to retain that monthly revenue, we need to hit 25 cases per month. Now, obviously, in most categories of legal or particularly in PI, you have to hit those. You're going to assign those cases, and you're not going to achieve the revenue for 6 or 12 months. But this is a targeting exercise. But then, if you're a corporate attorney or different kinds of attorneys where you sign clients up and they pay upfront, obviously the revenue is going to be realized closer to the date of signing a new client. So you type in your average case or client value, and it'll tell us how many new clients we need. Now the next thing, and you can do an educated guess if you don't know the actual answer, is you can type in the average conversion rate on calls to cases. Now a lot of times lawyers tell me we get 95% of the cases we want, but that's not the number we're looking for here. The number we're looking for here is if you get 100 phone calls, normally 50 of them are completely irrelevant. They're people just looking for free advice, or they're calling about a case type that you don't handle, or a case that's 7 years old. But for the most part, you want to fill in a number that's based on how many calls and how many actually convert into cases. Calls, forms, and chats. Okay, those are the three numbers we typically look at. So in this case, 25%, and let's tweak that and you'll see that this form is great to work with. Let's say we did some work with our intake team and we added an after hours call service and we went to 27%. So what that tells us is we need 93 leads every month in order to achieve that target. And then the average cost per lead. So for this exercise, you could just use a blended cost. So you could include pay-per-click, SEO, if you're on TV, if you have other media. And you could just, for planning purposes, you could look at all your expenses in 2020, or even go back to 2019 if it's a more realistic year. How much should we spend overall on marketing? How many overall leads did we get? And how many overall cases? And even if you do this exercise on the back of a napkin and say that, hey, part of our objective in 2021 is to have more metrics, to have more precise information. That's a really great goal for your marketing plan. And we do a lot of work with clients, as I mentioned, getting call tracking, so we know how many calls they're getting chat tracking set up, and getting the analytics goals correctly set up on the website. And 9 times out of 10, those goals are not set up correctly in Google Analytics. So we know how many people came to the website, how many people did a call, chat, or form, and how many people, and then we work with the intake team and the legal team, how many people actually signed up as cases. So any questions on this form? Anyone using it? Anyone having trouble with it? I'd love it if you guys were interactive. I see you there, but I don't see a lot of comments. Is anyone working with the form? Just very helpful. Thank you. Jennifer's working with it. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll just run through those questions again. You want to set your revenue goal. I like to work monthly, and monthly seems to be a good cadence for marketing, for internet marketing. So we take the revenue goal and we turn it into a monthly goal. And what we're trying to do here is just get to some pretty basic numbers. As a matter of fact, I did this exercise with one of my mentors this year, and it was really clear. Like, when I figured out how many attorneys I need to talk to, and what percent turn into clients, it made it really clear that if I wanted more clients, I needed a few more introductory phone calls, because only a certain percentage are going to convert, obviously. So just having those numbers became a real asset, and now I knew I needed more front-end conversations to turn into more end clients. Pretty straightforward, but if you don't have the numbers, that's like a dream as opposed to a plan. And now we have a plan to accomplish our goal. Okay, internet's going crazy here. Okay, so we need to know our revenue target, our monthly target, our case value, the number of new cases that we need to hit our goal. And then we want to, even if you do a rough estimate on how many calls you got, or how many calls your intake takes every day, and how many turn into cases. And then we're going to monitor those numbers in 2021. So we know precisely and what percent of leads convert into cases, and then the average cost per lead at the end of the day. We know how much we want to invest in our marketing budget. And just for a general ballpark, most law firms should be in the 3 to 7% of their revenue in their marketing budget in order to hit these kind of goals. It's a lot more if you're in personal injury or any kind of single event marketing. You probably want to be in the 8-9% of your revenue in your marketing budget, so you can tie that back in your planning. So the next section is what I call the competitive analysis. And for this section, we're going to look at where we are today, and then you can look at a few competitors. And it's great every year, or maybe sometimes for some clients, we do it every quarter, to look at where you're at. And then a year from now, we'll see how we did on improving our numbers. The other very valuable thing is when you look at the competitors, you're going to get some clues, right? data gives you clues as to where there's opportunity. So if, for example, one of your competitors has way more SEO results, way more search results in Google, we can then analyze what are the phrases they're ranking for, what's the structure of their website that's giving them these great results, and then we can reverse engineer a marketing plan for you in order to achieve the goals versus your competitors. So just for fun, these are some of the folks. I think Matt's here today who registered. So this is their website, yourlawyer.com. And these guys have a tremendous SEO performance. They've got 378 different phrases in the top 3 results on Google. So they are #1 in the world for Androgel attorney, Carvedilol lawsuit. I don't even know that term. Xenadrine lawsuit. They're #1 in the world. So they obviously do work in mass torts, and they do really, really well with over 378 different phrases ranked in the search engines. Now, this is a tool called SEMrush, and you can look at how you're doing versus your competitors. So obviously you want to see how you're doing. These guys, Cohen & Cohen, are based in Washington, D.C. They have 101 top 3s. So they rank for things like woman sues Walmart for discrimination. They're #1 in the world. And they have 859 total phrases they rank for. So again, the purpose of this exercise is to write it down, see where you stand at the start of the year, and then look at your competitors. Are you being outperformed by your competitors in the marketplace? And then what can we learn from the competitors? And this is the final one. These guys also registered for the webinar. Not sure if you're here, but if you are, nice SEO result, 46 top 3s, 329 total results. Got a bunch of whiplash results. So you're #1 in the world for permanent whiplash symptoms, long-term effects of whiplash. So probably get a ton of whiplash searches, which would be great for personal injury lawyer. And then the next thing we want to look at is pay-per-click. This is a different tool. It's called SpyFu, SPYFU. And here we can see how much folks are spending on their paid advertising. So again, here's yourlawyer.com, and we can see their competitors are spending $2,000, $3,000 on the similar terms that they're advertising for. And these guys, Hopman, O'Brien, are spending $17,000 a month. And it could be more or less. I mean, the tool's not perfect, probably somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000. But the one thing that's very accurate is they've increased their spend over time. This tool is very accurate at measuring spend, but it doesn't get the exact dollar amount. And then we can see their competitors, and we can see what terms their competitors are bidding on, what their competitors' ads look like, what the landing page looks like. So again, we use this data. If you know a competitor is doing really well, we can reverse engineer what they're doing and apply that in the 2021 marketing plan. And the next section is just to have a quick look at Google Screened. So we did a whole webinar on this last month, and it's on our website if you want to see the webinar. And this is the brand new local service ads, or I call it Google Screened because that's what the consumer sees. The local service ads that come right at the top of Google. So this is changing the landscape. I mean, what we're seeing is less people are clicking on ads, less people are clicking on maps. So if you're not screened and not approved, that is urgent. That is the top item on your 2021 marketing plan. As a matter of fact, it should be done in December of 2020. Get Google screened. So one of the things we looked at is how many competitors are screened or approved. So here we're looking at Washington, D.C. There's 1, 2, 3 approved here. And I think they're listed here again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So only 4 people in that marketplace were approved when we took that screenshot. But I can guarantee you, if you click here on more personal injury lawyers, there's probably like 15 or 20 approved now today. So very important opportunity to get approved for Google Screened in your 2021 plan. We also take a look at Google Maps. So we're going to look at how many reviews our competitors have, because that's very important. in Google's algorithm for how you rank in maps. And then we're gonna just write all this down. So you guys should have a blank on your form. Obviously, you're not going to have time to go and do all this right now, but you can get this done before the end of the year, hopefully. And you can do this for each of your competitors. So these guys are based in Richmond, Virginia. Jeff McDonald, great guy, great marketer. And you see he has 7,000 Facebook fans. He's done 1,700 tweets. He's got 30 YouTube subscribers. That's something we're going to work on for you, Jeff, if anyone from the client is watching. And then Google Maps, 702 reviews. That's fantastic. That's really great. And a 4.8 rating. Again, very valuable just to diarize this, get it written down, and you guys have a blank in your planning workbook. And what you can do is I would do this exercise for all your competitors. It's just nice to know when you come back to it, at the end of 2021. I don't know if you can see this, but you're going to fill that out for yourself and each of your competitors. Just going to take a breath here and see if we have any questions. You guys can pop any questions into the chat. I got to tell you, all the way back to the first presentation I ever made of the 10 Golden Rules at the Direct Marketing Association, I always get very few questions, and it always makes me nervous. And then at the end of the presentation, I get 1,000 questions. So I'm not going to get nervous. I assume everybody has what they need. Oh, I do have one from Jennifer. She's going to see the, I'll check out your LSA webinar, but do you know diminished click-through rate with LSA coming online for ads and GMB? Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing that pretty much across the board. We're seeing less traffic from AdWords and less traffic from Google My Business. So if you're experiencing that, it definitely, a lot of the clicks now are going to Google Screened or local service ads, and it's hurting Maps, and it's hurting AdWords. And I can pretty much guarantee you, Google's going to play around with that, and they're going to maximize. They're going to try and maximize revenue for themselves, and they're probably also going to try and maximize user experience. So we're definitely going to see change. Like we might see 2 boxes, we might see more of the Google Screened or local service ads. We might see less. We might see it more on mobile and less. So we definitely want to. I guarantee there will be. It won't stay the same. That's one thing we know about Google. All right, so now I want to talk about some of the tactics and some of the strategies that we can add into our 2021 planning. So the first one I call the internet marketing model. And this is just to give you sort of a snapshot of all of the things that are available as a marketer and as a digital marketer that are available to you. So I always like to talk about the hub. The hub of your internet marketing is your website. And we actually represent this now with a mobile website as well, because in most of the lawyer clients that we're working with, I would say that almost everybody has eclipsed 50% of mobile traffic. So over 50% of your traffic now should be coming from mobile, should be coming from cell phones. So that hub experience of your website is taking place in a different in a different format, right? We're not on a big screen anymore. We're on a small device. So you definitely want to look at how your website performs on mobile. How's your website design? Is it easy to interact with your mobile device? Is it easy to convert? Are your conversions just as high on your mobile device? So in terms of how we market, we call it a marketing funnel in the internet marketing industry. So top left here, we've got Google, and that's going to represent Google Ads, and now Google Screened or Google Local Service Ads as well. Very important, the Google Maps. So you want, if you haven't spent a lot of time on your Google My Business, your Google Map setup, there's about 20 different things you can do in there to improve whether or not your maps show up. We did a full webinar on that, and we did that early in the year. So I'm going to be repeating that webinar, updating that webinar in early 2021. But Google Maps is a good thing to have on your marketing plan. Different things you can do to improve your maps. You could also be on Yahoo and Bing, and SEO, search engine optimization, tapping into the free Google traffic. Now, if you are an attorney, you're probably not going to be doing affiliate marketing, but you might be doing lead generation. So we have a couple clients who are having a lot of success with different lead gen companies. You might be doing emails, and you're probably doing some social media. So YouTube is a very important part of all of our lawyer marketing. We are doing a minimum of 4 videos a month with most of our lawyers. And those videos then are being cascaded onto the website and all the social media and going on the e-newsletter. So YouTube is a nice place to start your content strategy. And you can also use that in your social media, Facebook and Twitter. So the term funnel is everything funnels into your website. And then we're doing some testing on conversion strategies, CRO, conversion rate optimization. That's a whole other project we do for a lot of clients where we look at how's your website performing? Is it converting? So if you have an agency, challenge them, how is our website doing? What's best practices? What's our conversion rate? How's the usability? What's the path users take throughout our website? These little icons over here represent links to the website for SEO. So it's other websites linking to your website. And then on the right-hand side, if people don't sign up on your website, we can have remarketing ads. So we can be advertising on other websites and remind people, hey, you came to our website, you were looking for a commercial attorney. Here's a video about from our founder. Here's some testimonials. Here's some case studies. And you can show remarketing ads to bring them back to the website. If you get an email, you can send them a follow-on email series and a newsletter program. So this is a sort of holistic marketing model that you want to incorporate some of those components into your marketing plan. For example, if you aren't doing anything, as I said, Google Screen, Google Maps, some video, those would be great things to add to your 2021 marketing program. And there's just a summary of all the things we talked about. So, what are some of the tactics you're going to use for 2021? You can throw those into the chat box. That'd be great. And I just want to spend a little bit more time on some of the top strategies that you want to employ, and the things that are working best and the things that we're prioritizing for our law firm clients. And, it's going to be hard to do this quickly because almost each of these little strategies was an entire 1-hour webinar that we did earlier this year. So I'm going to try and do it quick. So the first thing I mentioned, the local service ads. Again, I can't stress how important this is. This has changed the face of Google. It's the first time in 5 years. And these ads are pay-per-call ads that appear right at the top of Google. So they're sucking traffic out of your paid ads, your maps, and your SEO. So you got to get in the game. So go to, you can just Google Screen local service ads and start getting signed up and set up. If you need help, get in touch with me and we'll help you get those set up. And what we love about these, and for the lawyers that are getting the calls, and we've got all of our lawyers except for one, we're still waiting approval on the screening because he started a little late. We're getting real phone calls, qualified leads. And the best part of this program is if it's not a lead, you can reject it and you don't have to pay for it. So you only pay for a lead in a practice area that you've told Google you're willing to pay for. So you go through this verification. Google actually uses Pinkerton, which is a security company, and they use tracking numbers. All the calls are recorded, and there's no way around that. You have to have the calls recorded by Google, and then you can listen to the calls. And if the call is in a practice area that you didn't tell Google you wanted leads, you can reject those leads and not pay for them. So this is a great program. We've always wanted a program from Google that is real leads, as opposed to just clicks to our website that may or may not convert. These are real phone calls. It's a real good program, but it's already very competitive. And why do we love it? Well, typically calls convert at 24% rate. So if you get a call and it's someone who is in a car accident and you're a car accident lawyer, or someone who's going through a divorce and you're a divorce lawyer, typically the calls convert at 24%. Chats convert somewhere in the middle. And then if somebody fills out a form on your website and you call them back, like even an hour later, a lot of times it's too late. They've already booked an appointment with another lawyer. They might have even DocuSigned in the hour before they answer their phone again. So we really want to focus on the calls. And that's why this Google Screen program is so great, because it gets you calls, qualified calls in the practice areas you want to target. Now, next on the Google page is our pay-per-click ads. Pay-per-click ads are still very valuable, still a great way to send traffic to your website, because there's only 3 boxes at the top. So we still have to be there in pay-per-click. What I love about pay-per-click is you can measure your return on investment to the penny. For this client, we spent $25,000. We got 1,600 clicks, 291 conversions. So a lead, again, I've mentioned this before, is a call or a form fill or a chat. We track all of those. So we know to the penny that it cost $87 per lead for this client. Now you can measure your return on investment to the penny. Again, I showed this chart earlier. We're tracking each month. We're tracking how many calls, how many chats, how many forms, the number of clients retained. And it's really, really critical that you're tracking conversions and you're tracking cases signed. So that you've got to connect the marketing to the intake team, to the attorneys, and they've got to disposition every lead so you know how many converted. And also very important, Google Maps. So this is all paid. This is the first free SEO opportunity you have now. And that's why we did a whole webinar in Google Maps. So double back here. How do you get ranked in the top 3? How do you get in what's called the 3-pack in the Google Maps section? Number 1, you need lots of reviews. You've got to ask for reviews. You've got to have an internal program where you incent your staff to get reviews. Not only is reviews important for maps, it's also the number 1 factor in whether or not you're going to come up in Google Screened in those local service ads. I would argue that if you don't have a review program, that should be on your top 5 for 2021. As we're starting to put our marketing plan in place, reviews should be on your plan. Here's another tip I always say to my lawyer clients: write a check, get a review. And what I mean by that is if one of your employees comes to you and says, hey, can we put our company logo on my kid's softball team? It's only $50 or something. Well, if you write that $50 check, get a review. So just say, hey, we'd be happy to do that for the team, but we want to make a deal. We want every parent to go and do a review and say how much they love our law firm. Write a check, get a review. And there's a corollary to that, which is called write a check, get a link. Make sure the team also links to you from the team website or the team Facebook page. So first thing, you need lots of reviews. Obviously, high scoring reviews are great. Second, NAP, name, address, and phone. Got to make sure that your company is listed identically everywhere you're listed on the web. And finally, lots of local links and local citations. Your local Chamber of Commerce is a great one. Any local groups you participate in, as I mentioned before, write a check, get a review, write a check, get a link. Anything you're involved with in the local community. Obviously, if you're in law, you want links from the legal sites. If you're a member of your alumni association, you want a link from your law school. Very, very valuable. And the final piece is SEO, or search engine optimization. These are the free results. Now they're very far down on the bottom of the page on a Google. Like, remember, if you're searching on your phone, you're probably only going to see till about halfway here. If you're searching on your desktop, it looks the same as it looks on your phone, right? The ads aren't on the right-hand side anymore. So the SEO is pushed way down here to the bottom. My presentation, again, I did a whole webinar on the ABCs of SEO. You can find that on our blog. if you want to go deep on SEO. But simplifying over 600 things in Google's algorithm, A equals architecture. Got to have a nice clean sitemap on your website. Your site's got to be fast. You've got to have all the code set up correctly. Again, it's a whole presentation, but it's got to be architected correctly. B equals backlinks. You need other sites linking to your site. Here's my buddy Scott Silver, and he's got a link from the Cornell University Law School to his website. That is a very, very powerful link. C equals content. So you need lots of words, articles, and today the number one SEO that we're encouraging our clients and doing for our clients is answering questions. Why is that so important? Because we search differently, right? Now we say things like, Siri, who's the best law firm near me? And we literally ask questions. And there's new questions that are coming up all the time. Like, I heard this one. Someone has a case where an Uber driver, someone was in an Uber and they got hit by a Lyft driver, right? That's a new kind of question. Like, what do I do if I get in an accident with an Uber driver? Whose insurance covers me if I'm in an accident in a Lyft? Those questions were never asked 3 years ago because Uber and Lyft were not that common, right? So answering the questions that you get asked by your consumers is the best new SEO. And here's an example where Google is actually putting the answer to questions in a new box called the rich snippet that appears right at the top of your screen. So it's very, very powerful. If you answer questions on your website better than anybody else, you can come up right at the top of the screen. And this is that voice example I talked about where we search differently. We ask Siri questions, we type in questions to the search box, and Google has rewritten their algorithm in order to reward you for answering questions on the website. Now, the final thing I'll share tactically that works really, really well is what we call cascading content. So if you initiate an article on your website or create a video, and like I said, we shoot videos with all of our clients now. We do a minimum of 4 per month, and that means 1 per week goes on the website. So that video is first going to be uploaded to YouTube, so anyone can watch it really easily from any device. If they're on their phone, it'll play. If they're on their computer, it'll play. If they're on an iPad. We put the videos on YouTube, and then we also add it to the website, add it to the blog, and drop them on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. The other thing that's really powerful is if you write an article, and that article is a really nice long article that answers a question or talks about one of your products and services, you add that article to your website. And again, the same thing, like a waterfall cascades down from layer to layer, you can add that article to your blog, to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. And another valuable thing we always do, all the videos and all the uploads also go on Google Maps. So we talked earlier about the importance of Google Maps or Google My Business. There's about 20 different things you can do in there to increase your map appearances, your map SEO. So we put the videos and the articles in Maps, and this guy's representative of MailChimp, but you can have any email service. And what we typically do is there's 4 videos a month, there's 4 articles a month. Each of those articles and videos goes out in the newsletter. And once a month, you remind your happy customers, the folks you helped in the past, that you're here, you're willing, you're looking for references and referrals. You don't have to be overt with it, but just reminding people that you're there makes you top of mind when somebody gets in an accident. So with this, I'm going to ask you guys what's in your plan, and I want you to write down, 3 or 4 of the top things that we covered tactically that need to go in your plan. If you got an extra minute, pop it in the chat for me. This is also a trick when you're a presenter. If you have a question like this and you give the folks something to do, then you can have a sip of water, sip of tea. All right, let's keep going here. We're making good progress. I want to try and get this in an hour and a half, so we're going to do it. Okay, so brainstorming. I talked about how powerful this was off the top of the presentation, and how we use this so effectively for our own company and how we used it so effectively for our lawyer clients. So here's how I do the brainstorming. Again, this comes from Mastering the Rockefeller Habits with Vern Harnish. And in the old days, we used to do SWOT analyses, which was strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And Vern recommends updating it, and I love it, because when you used to do strengths and weaknesses, they would be exactly the same as the opportunities and threats, but they would just be, flipped around, right? One of our strengths is our sales force. One of our threats is if our top salespeople left us. So what we do now is we save a little bit of time and we add a very valuable thing called trends. So what we do is we divide our team up. We get our team together. If you got a small team, you can do, just a team brainstorming. If you have any more than 4 or 5, I recommend you break people into teams of 2, because people, you get way more brainstorming done if everybody can write the ideas down together. If there's like 10 people in a room and one person talking, typically it's the boss talking, and you're missing out on 9 other ideas. So we do a little brainstorming exercise. And the first thing you should do is write down the strengths of your firm, the strengths of your team, the strengths in the marketplace. So it could be things like, what differentiates you guys. Is it your brand? Is it your the fact that you're bilingual and not as many people are bilingual in the marketplace? Do you have a great intake team? Do you have a lot of Google reviews? You're going to write down anything that's real strong. And if you already did the analysis that we talked about earlier, you're going to know where you're stronger than your competitors. And then you're going to write down some weaknesses. Like if you found out, for example, that you thought you were doing well, you had 80 or 90 reviews, but your top competitors have 500 or 600 reviews. That's really going to hurt you in Google Maps, and it's really going to hurt you in Google Screen. So that would point out, okay, one of the things we need to do in 2021 is come up with a plan to get more reviews. Is your SEO strong? One thing we find with most firms, they have no plan written down follow-on program. So the leads come in, the intake people, do the calls, they go to a lawyer, and then there's some kind of random approach to following up. So we recommend a very precise follow-on program where there's, a texting program and an email program, that if somebody hasn't decided on who to pick as their law firm or their digital agency, there's a program to follow up on that. And then this section's the new section. So again, instead of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, we're going to talk about some new trends in the marketplace. And I covered a bunch of those today, things like Google Screened. How about mobile? I mean, in just a few years ago, we used to design websites for the big screen. Now we got to design the website for mobile. Maybe that's something you want to put on your plan. And you want to focus on getting more phone calls. I talked about that. 24% of phone calls convert into leads. So if you've got 24% chance of winning versus form fills at 1 to 2% chance of winning, maybe your whole marketing plan in 2021 is focused on getting more calls. Google Maps, another important trend. So those are just some ideas for you, but you're going to work through that with your team or your agency. And of course, we'd be happy to do that if you don't have a team or an agency. So then what the next brainstorming we do is we do projects. So typically what we'll do is we'll brainstorm each of these areas separately. We'll write them all down. We'll prioritize them as a team. We've got a whole way we do that. And then we do a brainstorming on projects. And so from the strengths and weaknesses and trends, it naturally leads to a ton of great tactical project ideas. So we already have our ongoing things, like if you already have SEO and you're doing great and you got someone writing your articles and it's working really well, that's going to stay. Maybe in your planning, you could do start, stop, keep. That's a really good way to think about your marketing. What are you going to start in 2021? What are you going to stop in 2021? It's just not working. And what are you going to keep? So what are you going to start new, stop, and keep that worked before? So the ongoing projects would be an example of something we're going to keep. And then the top 5 new projects would be things that maybe we talked about here today, or you came up with in your brainstorming, or your competitive analysis. And you see that your competitor's has this really cool, new pop-up on the website, an exit pop. You've never seen one of those before. So you're going to investigate, how can I add that? And then you're going to prioritize. So remember, very, very powerful is this insight from John D. Rockefeller, which is the top 1 of 5. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write down all your projects. And like we did at eDiets, we said our number 1 project is launching the Atkins diet. This is back in 2002, 2003, when Atkins was the hottest thing. We launched the Atkins diet, and our business absolutely took off. Like, our business doubled with the Atkins diet. So you're going to pick your number 1 thing that's going to move the needle. So here I wrote down Google Screened. Obviously, if you haven't done Google Screened, it's going to be very, very important that you get approved. Just get the application done, if nothing else, before the end of the year. If you don't have chat on your website, I mentioned earlier, it can improve your leads 20 to 30%. If you don't have a video program, that should definitely be on your marketing plan for 2021. Cascading content, super simple, right? You take the videos and you drop them on all your social media. You take the articles and you put them into all your social media, add it to Google Maps. And so the simplest thing you can do for your marketing plan, if you don't already do this, just answer 1 question a week. Answer 1 question a week in the form of a video or a blog post, add it to your website, add it to your social media, and take those 4 questions, 1 a week, and send it out in your monthly newsletter. If you do nothing else in 2021, that will be a great leap forward in your marketing, and you'll get a ton of referrals from folks, past clients, who will start thinking of you because you send a newsletter out every month and you update your social media every month. They follow you on Facebook, but if you never put a post, obviously you're not helping yourself in your referral marketing. So those are some simple ways that you can define your plan. And then we're going to calendarize it. Again, relatively basic stuff in terms of marketing. We're going to just write out a plan. And as I said off the top, if you write it down, it gets done. If you don't write it down, it's up to chance. And chance rarely wins in business, in my experience. So maybe what we do sometimes is we develop quarterly themes. So maybe like the number 1 thing we identified in our planning is our conversion isn't as good as we want it to be. We want more phone calls, less forms. We want to put chat on our website. Jay told us that we could get 20 or 30% more leads if we put chat on the website. I talked about a CRO audit, a conversion rate optimization analysis. So we actually do that. We look at where people's mouses go on the screen, where they click, and we find out 9 times out of 10, people don't go where you think they would go on a website. People don't do what you would do on a website. So we map that all out with a thing called heat mapping. It shows us where they go on the website. We do a CRO audit. We had a great, one of our webinars called Rainmaker Marketing. And what's his name from Pilma, Ken Hardison, brilliant legal marketer, said that every quarter he has a VIP party for his best customers. And those VIPs come to a buffet and they meet all the lawyers. Obviously, you'd have to do it outdoor right now and social distance, but maybe you could do a virtual VIP party and send everybody a package of goodies, and everybody could open the goodies and you could have a VIP party. You know, all you're trying to do is stay top of mind. So maybe you put that on the calendar for 2021. Maybe you're going to have a spring theme in your social media, and you're going to build a follow-on campaign. I talked about the importance of follow-on emails for all those leads that don't convert, and sending texts to folks who don't sign up with your firm. You know, a lot of people will take weeks to make a decision. So if your attorney who's assigned to the case was busy and he doesn't call back for 3 or 4 weeks, but the other firm calls back, you just lost a potential opportunity. But if you have an automated text program, that's going to keep you guys in the mix for that case. So we're going to just write out our theme. We're going to look at things like, you know, getting our calendar. Maybe we're going to look at socially appropriate things like Juneteenth. Maybe May is our intake focus month. We're going to bring in an intake trainer, or we're going to have an intake competition. You should probably have a review competition every quarter. I talked about the importance of reviews about 6 times. So I think I've covered that one. So we're just going to calendarize our year. We're going to develop themes for each quarter or themes for each month. Here's another tip that works great. Put one test project on your calendar every month. Something new you're going to develop. In February, we're going to develop new pay-per-click ads. Because what happens is typically if you don't focus on it, if you don't write it down, it might not happen. In March, we're going to develop a new landing page. In April, we're going to develop new intake scripts. In May, we're going to do a new website design test. So if you write it down, you're going to want to do all these things at once, but it's not going to happen. So just calendarize it. Do the most important ones first and get the rest of them on the calendar for later in the year. So how are we doing on time? Really good. We got in right around an hour, and I'm going to wrap up here and then take some questions. So for 2021, we want to set our goals. So we want to use the form that I provided, and you're going to figure out, okay, we want to add another $1 million of revenue, and we come in at 15,000. I'm going to do it the easy way, $10,000 a case. So now we'll be able to figure out how many leads we need because we convert 25% of our calls. What's the cost of a call? And now we know our marketing budget in order to hit the numbers that we want to hit. We're going to analyze our key numbers. So we're going to look at, how many calls did we get in 2020? And maybe look at 2019 as well. So we look at a normal year and we look at the year of 2020, which we're all going to want to forget. What are our key numbers? How many leads did we get? How many converted to cases? What was our revenue? What was our revenue per case? We're also going to capture for one time to memorialize every year, how many SEO phrases do we have? How much are our competitors spending on pay-per-click? And how many Facebook fans do we have in our competitors? We're going to write that all down. Then we're going to look at tactics to maximize our lead flow. And we're going to develop our plan. We're going to look at which core strategies and which trends do we want to capitalize on in 2021. And then we're going to prioritize that. And we're going to set out tactical marketing plan for every quarter. So hopefully that's valuable and helpful. First, I just want to say thank you for getting me to do this because it was great fun for me putting this all together. And if we can help, I'm going to put the Calendly link in the chat, and then you guys can set up a meeting with me. Super easy. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that like this. So you can set up, I'm just going to, and then with my calendar link, this is a great thing, by the way. Every firm, you guys should test this. Add this to your testing calendar. A lot of firms are using this. We haven't tried it yet. Putting the Calendly link on your website. So the link I just sent you, if you click that link, you can see my calendar. You can pick an opening, and then you can schedule a half-an-hour meeting, and we'll do a strategy session, and we'll walk through all this, and we'll talk about how we can help. And I've also set up my Calendly with Zoom. So it's automatically going to send you an email with the Zoom meeting, and it's going to add it to your calendar and add it to my calendar. So it's like the old days of like, hey, can you meet on Friday? Yeah, sure. How's the afternoon? Oh, I can't do the afternoon. Can you do the morning? And it used to take like 7 emails to set up a phone call. And then you'd have to send the Zoom or the invite and the phone numbers and everything. This does it in one click. So I recommend not only if you want to talk to me, please click the link and get on my calendar, but also you want to test that. I would put that on your 2021 test. Make it available for your customers. If you guys want to set an appointment to talk, just click here, because a lot of times people are, they're on their phone, their kids are on, they're doing Zoom school, or they're at Zoom work, and they're just doing research, and their aunt was in a car accident, and they don't have time to talk to you right now, but they'd love to talk to you at 5 o'clock tonight. So if you give them the opportunity to get it on their calendar, that can be like super powerful. All right. So if there's any questions, Adam, you're welcome. Jessica, you're welcome. Olivia, you're welcome. Okay. Carol's posting content on multiple platforms. Great. John's going to create more videos. Awesome. All right. Well, if we have any questions in the Zoom or in the Q&A function, just type them there. Okay. What is the target cost per lead? Okay, so the target cost per lead is tricky, but the best answer I can give is for personal injury, and we actually put it in the workbook. So let me click over here. I have to share again. So if in the workbook, I thought it was in here as a somehow my little oh, here. Okay, so down here, so auto leads, probably somewhere in the $250 to $750. Pretty expensive these days. An injury, 200 to 500. Just general incident, slip and falls and stuff. And medical is more expensive, could be 500 to 1200. And it ranges all over the map depending on the market. A good arbiter is actually the Google screened or the Google local service calls. So those will range from 51 to 151 depending on the market. So it can cost $51 to get one of those lead calls. So now there's a real defined number in the marketplace from those Google service ads. So that's a good answer to that one. Where did my chat box go here? What auto text program do you recommend? I don't know that one off the top of my head because it's linked to our CRM, Jennifer. I'll get back to you on that. If you don't mind, maybe just pop your email into the chat or send me an email, which is right here over my right-hand shoulder, J at 10 golden. Oh, no, it's not, but it's JAY at 10goldenrules.com. And I'll be happy to get that to you. Okay. How do you get listed in the new Google screened? Okay, Karen, very good question. Well, the first thing is you got to go and apply. So if you just search local service ads on Google, you're going to find the Google screened in the application. And you're just going to walk through that. They're going to it's like signing up for any kind of email service or anything like that. And then the second step, as I mentioned, there's personal information about the owner of the firm, social security numbers, addresses, how long the firm's been at the location. You also need, if it's a lawyer, you're going to need your bar association number and your bar renewal. One of the tricks, some of the bar associations, you just pay a fee every year. There's no renewal date, but some states have a date, some states don't. So we just put in December 31st for next year, for 2021, if you just have an annual renewal. But you go through all of that, and then you've got to put in a credit card and things like that. And then basically, just wait for Pinkerton. So pretty much that's how it works. And happy to help with that. So if you want me to help you with Google Screened or Google Maps or anything, again, the link is in the chat, the Calendly link. Is it up on the screen too? I'll put it back up on the screen. And you can just book a meeting with me, and I'll be happy to take you through that. Where did it go? There we go. Okay, how do you get your firm to show up on Google Maps? I think I covered that, but I can give you the headline again. The first thing is reviews. The second thing is reviews, and the third thing is reviews. Very, very important for Google Maps and for the new Google screen. You need lots and lots of reviews. So come up with a program, like I mentioned briefly, where every legal assistant or everyone at the firm, if they can get a 4 or 5 star review, they get a $25 restaurant gift card, or even I would spend as much as a $50 restaurant gift card. Those reviews are worth $50. They're worth their weight in gold. And you want to look at where you're at in the marketplace versus your competitors, and you need lots and lots and lots of reviews. You cannot pay for reviews. You cannot incentivize people for reviews. That's against Google's terms of service, but you can incentivize your staff. And so if you ask the legal assistants to call the happy customers and nudge them a little bit and walk them through how to set up a Google review, it's worth its weight in gold. So number 1 is reviews. Number 2 is NAP, name, address, and phone. So like for 10 golden rules, it's very important that we pick one. We're either TEN 10 or we're 1010. That's different to Google's algorithm. So years ago, we decided we were 10 golden rules TEN. And so everywhere we're listed, we've got to make sure we're listed as TEN 10 golden rules. And a lot of different people will put a link to our firm with the number 10. And they'll even link to the wrong website, 10goldenrules.com, which we own, and we redirect to TEN golden rules. But you want as much clarity for Google in the algorithm. So you got to make sure you're TEN golden rules. And if you're like, if we're suite number 106, you got to make sure it says suite number 106 everywhere you're listed. The Chamber of Commerce, your legal your associations, that softball team you sponsored. You want consistency so that Google gets consistent messaging in the algorithm. Nobody's looking at it and thinking through it, right? So if you've got suite 10 and number 10 and unit 10, those are all going to be different for Google. So as much as you can, very important NAP, name, address, and phone. And then the final thing is getting local links is really, really important. Getting a link from your local Chamber of Commerce, getting a link from local schools, universities, things like that. Local sponsorships is a great way to build links for SEO purposes, and those local citations are going to help with your Google Maps. Hope that's helpful. I'll hop back here and see if we have any more in the Q&A or any more in the chat. Thank you guys. I see most of you are still sticking around, so I'll keep talking. I'm just going to send, oh, I didn't send. I don't know if I sent the calendar link to everybody. I'm going to send it again. You're welcome, Jennifer. Okay. This seems like a lot of work. Is this what your firm does for your lawyer clients? Absolutely. I mean, and you know, we're not going to do, this is, what I tried to do here is condense like a whole year's worth of webinars into one session. And, you know, we talked about that prioritization exercise. And I swear to God, we do that every month for every client. We put a list of the top priority projects that we're working on and a secondary list of future projects. And we walk through the client. We say, look, just so you know, here's what we've decided, what we recommend, where we're going to focus, because when you engage a law firm or you engage an agency, it's all about time and hours, right? So here's where we're going to spend the budgeted amount of hours on your account. And here's our focus. You know, if we don't have Google Maps set up correctly, we're going to make that a focus in the month of January. If we want to add a new lead tracking program, we're going to add that in February. So we allocate the hours against the priorities, and we agree, okay, these are the priorities for the month. We all agree. And then here's the projects that we're working on. Here's the reporting. Here's the information. And with a new client, within the first 3 or 4 months, we get everything set up correctly. We get chat set up. We get call tracking set up. We get the lead reporting system set up. We work with the intake team to disposition those leads. So it doesn't happen overnight, but we get it done. And then we start, niching away and working at nichier and nichier projects. Jessica says, what division of overall marketing budget do you recommend? I.e. TV versus streaming versus video versus social spend percentage? That's a good question. I'm not really the expert to ask about TV, but we work very closely with a number of TV agencies. And the most important question on TV, I think, is you have to have enough budget to have some market share, to really make an impact. So, you probably want to be in the top 4 or 5, minimum top 6 or 7 TV advertisers. Otherwise, a lot of people would argue that it's not really worth it. And maybe you could spend that money better in digital. Obviously, I'm the digital guy, so I'm going to lean more towards the digital. The streaming question is a good question, and we're going to try and answer that real well in 2021 with some specific call tracking numbers, and try and determine how well what they're calling OTT, or over the top. It's, a lot of people look at it as digital, but it's really a traditional TV buy. It's just the way people get their TV. It's the same TV shows. They're still watching. I don't know what's a TV show. We're watching Fringe on Netflix, so that doesn't count. But they're still watching, the evening news. But if they get it delivered by Hulu, you can buy the ads through Hulu instead of buying the ads through CBS. So it's the streaming TV is really still TV, and I would consider that part of your TV budget. But I would try and analyze how many calls you get. Like I would put a different phone number on the TV ads versus the streaming ads. And then video versus social spend. I'm going to lean pretty heavily towards the digital spend. Here's the trickiest question: is how much do you need to spend on pay-per-click? And the answer is becoming $20,000 in most markets. And the reason for that is a lot of times the best ads, the best keywords, the best performing are the clicks to call. So if somebody searches like car wreck lawyer near me, or divorce attorney, Boca Raton. I hate bringing that one up because I'm happily married, but I don't know. We have a divorce client. So somebody does that search and they're on their mobile phone and they click to call. Those generally cost $200 or $300 a click. Now, I talked earlier about the local service ads. Those are a little bit less, but the pay-per-click ads were as high as $200 or $300. Now, the reason why you need a $20,000 budget is simple mathematics. You have to tell Google, I'm willing to spend $1,000 a day. My minimum budget, I'm willing to spend $1,000 a day. Because if you don't tell Google, I want 3, 4, 5 of those clicks in a day, of the best clicks, you're not going to be eligible for the best clicks. If your daily budget's $100, right, times 30 days, $3,000, you're not going to get those $300 clicks. Like Google's just not going to give you a $300 click when you got a $100 a day budget. So you really need a $1,000 a day budget, and you can pick the 5 business days of the week, Monday through Friday, and that's why that's like $20,000, 20 days times $1,000, $20,000. So really in a competitive market. Now it's very different if you're in a small market, but we have clients in Miami, New York, LA is crazy competitive. But then once you get into some of the smaller markets, your budget could be in the $10,000 range and probably make it work. And then video and social spend, you know, we're not spending a ton of money on like social advertising for attorneys, particularly the single incident attorneys, but it's a little different in the mass tort and stuff like that. And the social spend is really just complementary, maybe boosting some of the posts and things like that. And then you want to spend a decent amount on SEO, on content, original content development, video development. That's an important part of the overall spend. Digital is the way to go. I agree. Wanting to move more money to digital. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned some big advertisers earlier. Some of the big guys have flipped off a lot of their TV budget and gone digital. And then some of them have gone back to a little bit of TV. But like one of the big guys that I mentioned today, who comes to a lot of our webinars, he actually turned off all of his TV. And then he came back to a little bit of branding. Jessica, good question. The streaming data would be very interesting. Nielsen has some good data already. Hulu is even more expensive than TV. Okay, great. All right, well, if there's any more questions, I'm gonna ask for one last question. And if there's not, that's about it for my voice. It's amazing how you do these things. You get about an hour and a half. I'm always amazed with Tony Robbins, who does 4 days straight. Well, that's why his voice is pretty much gone at the end of it. Anyways, thank you all very much. The link, my Calendly link, is in the chat. If you guys want to just click on that now, because once the meeting goes away, you won't have access to it anymore. But if you want to set up a meeting, I'd be happy to talk to you about your marketing, help you with your plans for the year. The first meeting's free. So set up that half-an-hour meeting, and I look forward to getting to know you all and hopefully helping with 2021. And if you're already happy with your agency, good luck. And I hope this helps, and have a great holidays and a great 2021, everyone. Thank you.